Hello everybody, the Great Dino Ranger here again, back with another review. So we're going to take a look at some more Easter gifts that I got from my parents. And we got some Danger Pack figures right here. We got 4 in total, all from the newest Jurassic World Chaos Theory wave, or at least the most recent wave. I guess that's now hitting stores, but this is from my parents. So we got the Danger Pack Hypsilophodon, Farlowickness, however that one's pronounced, Dimetrodon, and the Guamesia. So obviously we've already taken a look at the Guamesia already, so we don't need to do anything with that one. And the Dimetrodon, we can probably briefly take a look at that one and compare it with some of the other mainline figures of that one as well. But the main priority, the main focus of these reviews is the Hypsilophodon and the Farlowickness, however you want to pronounce that, because these are brand new species to my collection. Just 2 new species from Mattel in general, and I'm really stoked to finally have these 2 in my collection. And with that, this pretty much marks the last of the Danger Packs for this year, because obviously with Rebirth coming out, their newer, smaller size figures are now going to be called Frenzy Packs instead of Danger Packs. So these are the last of the Danger Packs. I'm glad to finally have them. Obviously not counting the 2 Pandactylus, which I'm still missing that one. So hopefully I'll get that one eventually. But in terms of the newer wave, these are the last ones, last Danger Packs. So that's really exciting. And I'm really excited to take a look at least these 2, and we'll briefly take a look at that one. And we're probably not going to do anything with the Guamesia. We'll probably have it in for comparison purposes, since we already pretty much recently took a closer look at that one from one of my birthday reviews. So yeah, really excited to take a look at all these. The packaging, as you can see, is pretty much the same. The only difference is the figure it comes with, and they have like these different little symbols, which we still don't know what those are supposed to mean. But if we take a look at the Hypsilophodon right here, which looks really great, by the way, you take a look at the back, just has all the figures in the lineup, which we have some fax app information and just all the other stuff. So the packaging is pretty much the same, nothing too special. But yeah, let's go ahead and open these figures up and take a closer look at all of them. Alrighty, so here we have all 4 of the Danger Pack figures out of the package. And as first things first, they all look really good out of the package. You know, when you take these figures out of the package, there's just something about looking at them all the way through, you know, 360 and all that. You can kind of take in all that cool detail and the sculpt and all that. And yeah, all these look really cool. We're not going to do anything, like I said, with the Guamesia, because we already taken a look at that one, so he'll just be looking cool there in the background. But we'll go ahead and take a look at all of these other ones. We'll just actually probably start with the Dimetrodon, since there's not a whole lot to talk about this one. So this is the other like Danger Pack or Attack Pack sized Dimetrodon that was first. I think this one was first revealed or released during the Dominion toy line. This was part of the Wild Packs, I think is what it was called during that time. This is the exact same figure. You know, it was just a repack for this Danger Pack lineup. But it's cool because I finally have all the Dimetrodons now. Not a whole lot to go off of. Obviously, the Hammond Collection one is much better than these Danger Pack versions. But it's basically the exact same thing from the Dominion one. You know, same amount of cool detail in the scales, you know, in the sculpt, the osteoderms and all that. The head sculpt and the claws and just, you know, the skin texture, the muscle definition, all that. So it's basically the same. The only difference is the color for the most part. It's like this lime green color and like a lighter cream color for the underside, or the jaw, and a little bit on the neck. Then you got a yellow eye with a black pupil, brown for the head, and some brown here on the body that kind of goes into the sail, and the sail is like a light brown. Actually, this brown right here, this dark brown, is more like a really dark purple. At least on here, it's kind of more of a brown on the face, and the teeth are like that white color, and you got some of that pink fleshy color for the inside of the mouth. And that's basically it. I mean, there's not a whole lot on this figure, but it is pretty nice. You know, you got your standard articulation with the jaw and the neck, then the arms, obviously, and then the tail. One thing I can note though is that the sail does feel like it's made of a softer rubbery material. Pretty like stiff though, not as, you know, smooth or bendable like others. So the other ones that we'll compare later seem a lot more harder and stiff. This one has like this rubbery texture to it, which is pretty interesting. The texturing on the sail itself was pretty nice. Kind of unfortunate that this part of the sail isn't painted, but again, it's not that big of a deal. This isn't my definitive Dimetrodon figure anyway, but it is nice to finally have all of these in my collection. So overall, pretty nice. Now we get on to the newer species. So we're gonna take a look at the Farlowichnus, which is what I'm gonna call it. I don't know how to really pronounce it. I even tried looking it up online to see if there's a way to pronounce this animal, but I couldn't find anything, so I'm just gonna call it Farlowichnus. If you know how to pronounce it differently, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But overall, what's interesting about this dinosaur is that this dinosaur is only known for footprints. Literally footprints. I don't know when this dinosaur was discovered or named or described and all that, but this guy is only known from just footprints, which is really interesting to name a whole new dinosaur based on footprints. But obviously there's a lot of factors that can go into that. Maybe it's the location where it's found. There's no other dinosaurs that match the footprints here. That could be it. There's no other dinosaur found in maybe that certain layer, rock layer. There's a lot of factors that could contribute to this, but I just think it's really weird to name a whole new dinosaur just based off of tracks, which the tracks pretty much reveal this dinosaur to be a smaller carnivorous dinosaur, with super long legs for running. And one of the things they noted is that the footprints, the middle toe is actually really thick, almost like a pad, and pretty much held majority of the dinosaur's weight, kind of like the feet of an ostrich. Since they only have 2 feet, the first one, or the inside foot, is a lot larger and thicker than the other one, which that large foot pretty much holds or contains all of the weight of that animal as it stands, which is pretty interesting. And you can kind of see that thick middle toe right there, so I'm not sure if that's what they were trying to go for, but again, very interesting that this dinosaur is just named for just footprints, which is super weird. It's almost as weird as just finding one little piece of bone and naming a new dinosaur off of that. But hey, that's paleontology for you. And basically, because the whole dinosaur is based off just footprints, this whole figure is entirely speculative. It's just mostly, creative choice, creative liberty from Mattel to create just a cool bipedal carnivorous theropod, just based on, footprints. So this is an entirely brand new figure. I mean, it's hard to tell really how accurate this is, but it is a cool figure, a very interesting choice, but it's it's my first Farlowichnus species in any of my collections. And overall, the figure looks really nice. The head sculpt here looks really good with all the scales. I like how sharp the teeth look, in the mold. Even though they're not the rubber inserts, they're actually painted, but they're sculpted very nicely. Mattel is definitely improving with their figures, and I can't wait to see, compare all the figures that they're coming out with this year and in the next future years. So a lot of cool things to look forward to. And you got the tongue sculpted in there, the nostrils nicely sculpted, the eyes look really cool. Here you got the neck area. The entire body is filled with like these really nice scales all over the legs, the feet, the arms, hands, even to the tail. You got some nice little wrinkles in the skin, some muscle definition poking through the arms and the legs, which are looking very nice. Feet are really nicely sculpted on this dinosaur. You can see the dew claw right there, the nice muscle definition, the scoots on the toes that go up the side of the foot. You got some nice little wrinkle, vein looking structures here on the tail, kind of reminiscent to, modern day reptiles, which is really cool. And just the scale work on these smaller figures, just super impressive. And in addition, you got some really cool feathered textures. You got some feathers here that start from the head, they go all the way down to the neck, all the way pretty much throughout the entire back and end right here, just after the base of the tail, which they look pretty nicely sculpted. They're very soft. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting. They're very soft. And you get some more here going down the leg just a little bit, and you got some here at the bottom of the jaw. Some more feathering right there. I like the larger scales on the side of the jaw right there, which look really cool. The hands look really nice as well. They're in that accurate unpronated position, which is really nice. And yeah, I mean, overall the sculpting is very nice on this speculative dinosaur. And what's really cool about these newer danger packs is that they have the scratch marks of the battle damage all over the figure. You got some scratches there on the tail, some there on the legs. You see some there on the foot. Not so much on the head. And you got some more on this side here around the leg, and they're on the tail area. So that's really cool. I really like when Mattel adds that. It just kind of gives more life to the animal. And yeah, sculpt work really nice on this one. The colors are really nice as well. I like the dark, natural kind of forest green tone. The entire figure is actually like this really nice dark green, like a light grayish blue for the underjaw right here. A nice cream color for the teeth. Some pink fleshy color for the tongue and the gum flaps. A nice red eye with a black slit pupil. And then you got a nice like brownish orange striping that goes from the eye, even a little bit in front of the eye. It kind of patterns down, splatters down the neck, all the way down to the side of the body, all the way down to the tail, which is really cool. It makes it feel complete, kind of reminiscent to Blue's stripe, but really cool. I like the colors a lot, very natural, not a whole lot going on, nothing too crazy, but it's really nice. Overall, a really nice figure, I would say. Articulation wise, you got the jaw that can open and close, the neck that can go up and down, the arms that can rotate pretty much 360, and then the legs that can move forward and backwards. Kind of stiff on mine, but. And then the tail can obviously rotate, but you obviously don't need that. And then you got the scan code, which starting with Rebirth toys, we're not going to get these scan codes, you know, that you pull out anymore. It's just going to go back to the feet, which is really cool. Kind of going back to the good old Fallen Kingdom days, I guess. But here's the scan code. Yeah, here's our Farlowichness. I believe this dinosaur lived in Brazil during the early Cretaceous. Which is what I've read online, which is kind of cool because this dinosaur right here also lived during the early Cretaceous. However, it lived in Europe. So we got two early Cretaceous dinosaurs here in two different locations. So here we got Hypsilophodon, which is probably my most anticipated, probably my favorite out of this wave of danger packs. I love everything about this. I love the species. I'm really happy that we finally got this species. I believe it was part of the original, one of the original Jurassic Park books. So it's really cool to kind of have an actual Jurassic Park figure of this dinosaur, even though it's not part of any movies. It is a really cool and nicely sculpted one. One of the things that stand out to me is that this dinosaur, these type of herbivorous dinosaurs, are covered in feathers, which for these type of dinosaurs you see a lot in modern paleo art, which is really cool. The feathering on this dinosaur is really nicely done. I would say the large fluff of feathers here on the tail, and even these two rows of feathers on top of its head, are really reminiscent to the Hypsilophodon design in that game. What's it called? The Isle, which you can look it up online. The Isle Hypsilophodon, and it has these little structures on top of its head, except they're actual long feathers, not rods of multiple feathers. And it has like a patch of thick feathery feathers on the tail. There, that makes more sense. So I wonder if that's inspiration for where Mattel, got to do this figure, which is really cool. Overall, the sculpting is very nicely done. I think it pretty much captures the look of Hypsilophodon really nicely. And as far as right now, I think I can really tell the only two inaccuracies are just in terms of the hands and obviously the size, which we'll get to a little later. The head looks really nice. You got the classic beak, because obviously it's an herbivore. The nostrils. I like the slit pupil for an eye. It's kind of different when it comes to herbivores, but it's just kind of a cool look, even though it might not be accurate. The entire dinosaur is pretty much scales, but like the upper half is all feathers. So as you can see here on the head, the entire top of the head is covered in nicely sculpted feathers and these nice little rods up here, which is a really cool creative decision from Mattel. It makes this dinosaur stand out and unique compared to other ones, although it could be false advertising as well, because you know, you might be teaching other grown-ups or other kids like, oh, this is a cool dinosaur. This might be a, you know, I wonder if a dinosaur actually looked like this in real life. This is what this dinosaur looks like. So obviously we don't know what these dinosaurs look like, but I don't know, that's just kind of my own opinion. And then you got, for the body, you got some more nice skin texture on the arms and all over the underside of the body, looking very nice. Same here with the leg, really nice and I love how nice and long the legs look, because this guy was really speedy. I mean, you're gonna have to be speedy if you want to run away from predators. And it looks really nice. The sculpt work, the muscle definition look really great. The texturing is phenomenal. Even here you can see on the feet look really nice, with the ridges on the foot and the detail. Looks really good. And I love how it's kind of like in a different position, each leg. And here at the other side of the body, close to the tail, you got some more lined texturing going on here. Looking really nice. And then, like I said, the entire top half is made out of these feathers. So you got some feathers here on the arms and some more that stick out here at the elbows and some more that kind of lie down here throughout the back. Some more tufts of feathers at the top, which look really nice. You got the really nice thick patch of feathers here on the side of the tail, which is looking very unique, which is really cool. I really like it. And the detail and the feathering looks really good. Mattel did an excellent job with this one. And the feathers pretty much stop all the way to here. Then it's just bare skin on the rest of the tail. Other than that, you got some feathers here around the legs and some more here around the ankles, which is really cool. You see the dew claw sculpted there as well. And you even got some more of this classic scratch marks on this figure. So you got some more here around the neck, some here on the side as well as the leg. Some more here at the top of the tail. Even the other side, you got some more scratches right there, and even some more right here, and some here around the foot. So that's really cool. I love how Mattel adds these. The feathers here on the underside look really nice as well. And yeah, the hands are really cool. Probably one of my favorite parts of this figure as well. Mattel gave this dinosaur accurate hands for the most part, with the same amount of digits. However, the only inaccurate part is that these first three should be the only ones with claws. These two at the end should not have claws on them. They should just be tiny little nubs, or clawless little nubs. So other than that, the hands look really nice. I'm glad Mattel gave it accurate hands instead of just the classic 3-fingered hands, or even worse, just giving it 2-fingered hands. But that's really cool, and they look really nice too. And they feel nice and sharp too, because they're tiny little clawed hands. But overall, really nice figure. I love the sculpt of this figure. It's really good. The colors are really nice as well. Very interesting. It's more like this yellow and dark maroon red color, which is really nice. The yellow color is for like the top of the head, top of the neck, and kind of goes to just about the front half of the body. And the entire arms are yellow. Everything else is like this reddish maroon color, looking really nice. And you got some orange here for the tips of the feathers at the tail, which make him pop. And then you got kind of more of a darker yellow for the eye with a black pupil. And then the top of the beak is like a dark purple brown color. The lower beak, unfortunately, is not painted, but it kind of doesn't really matter because the darker purple almost kind of matches this red color. So it almost looks like they're both painted, but it's not a big deal in my opinion. But the colors look really nice. Articulation wise, the head can move up and down. I really missed the ability to twist the head on the older figures. The arms can move 360, same with the legs, and the tail can also move, but obviously you don't need that. And you got the scan code as well. And overall, a really nice figure. I highly recommend at least these two, but mostly the Hypsilophodon, because it's just such a cool looking figure. Quickly, so here for comparisons, here we have the other Danger Pack Dimetrodon compared with the other, mainline Dimetrodon figures. They actually look really great together, sculpt wise and paint wise. They look like they actually belong in the same group. I love the colors of the sails. Like these ones are more red, this one's more of a brown color, kind of showing differences with each individual. And they overall look really great together. This one's obviously my favorite, but obviously the Hammond Collection one's the more better one in my opinion. But either way, these three look really good together. Alrighty, so for the Hypsilophodon, I figured I compare, because we don't have any other dinosaur species that are related to this guy, I believe. So I decided to kind of throw in other dinosaurs that lived in the exact same place as Hypsilophodon, you know, as well as the same time period. So all of these dinosaurs lived during the early Cretaceous period in Europe. So you kind of got a cool little ecosystem of animals going on right here, which is really cool. I love how you can compare stuff like this with Mattel's figures, just kind of put together a bunch of the species that actually lived together in the same area in the same time period. So along with Hypsilophodon, it lived with Baryonyx, Iguanodon, and Neovenator. And they all look really great. And I think I probably should have put the Ceratosuchops in here as well, but here we got the main larger animals here that lived with Hypsilophodon, and this is a really cool setup going on here. So kind of a cool little area to group if you want to group your dinosaurs based off of, you know, time period or location and all that, but they look really great together. And to top off the review, here we have compared to a human figure, which this is one of the things I said was kind of inaccurate with the Hypsilophodon. It is way too big. It should actually be very smaller compared to a human figure, which actually Hypsilophodon should have been part of that smaller Danger Pack sized of figures, like the Guanlong and the Eoraptor and the Lystrosaurus. It should have been that size, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, here we got all four of these compared with the human figure. So everyone, that's about to wrap it up for this review. Kind of a longer one, but you have to kind of squeeze in 4 different figures. Well, mostly 3, but overall, all 4 of these are really good. I recommend, in terms of new species, obviously these 3. You can probably miss out on the Dimetrodon, but you know, it is what it is. I really like all 4 of these, especially these 2, and especially the Hypsilophodon by itself. Highly recommend it. But yeah, overall, a really great setup of figures and a nice close-up to the Danger Pack assortment. And now we move on to the Frenzy Pack assortment. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys again for the next video.